mean, we're talking about Isaiah 42:11.
I think we were talking about that.
Same thing again.
Sorry, man.
I think we were talking about that. Yes.
Sorry?
Yeah, sure. Isaiah 42, fine.
So what's your interpretation of it?
My interpretation of Isaiah 42 is that the beginning of the chapter about the servant.
Sorry, brother.
Israel. It's referring to the righteous of Israel. The chapter then leaves the servant.
How about this? You know how to read Hebrew, right?
Yes.
Can you should we bring it out?
Yeah, sure.
Because it will be more educational, I think, if we actually read it bit by bit, up to verse 12 or something like that.
Sure.
Have you got a translation as well?
I do indeed. I have the GP.
What you got? What translation do Jewish people like?
We have a few different translations.
Are you Haredi Jewish?
No, I'm not Haredi.
What are you?
Not Haredi, but not Haredi.
What are you?
I'm Orthodox Jew.
Okay.
I'm one of these minor little schools of thought.
Are you
no one's ever
Hasidic?
heard of. No, I'm not.
What are you?
I'm a Yekka, but no one's ever heard of it.
Can you explain what that is first?
Yekka is a Jew of German origin.
Yeah.
That generally speaking follows the teachings of a rabbi called Rabbi Samson of Hirsch.
Can you speak up a bit louder? Sorry.
A rabbi by the name of Rabbi Samson of Hirsch.
Yes.
He was a 19th century German Jew.
Yeah.
So we generally follow his teachings.
Why did you follow his teachings?
He had a certain philosophy that he used.
When did he die, this man?
1890 something.
Right. And so he's German?
Yeah. So we had. He fought a big battle against the Jewish Enlightenment, the Reform movement, and saved the religious life of the Jews in Germany.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're part of that?
Yes. There's very few of us today.
Okay, all right. And you've done the training, right? You've done some of the training of how to be a rabbi and all these kind of things. Well, you're in training now.
No. To become a rabbi, you need a lot more knowledge than I did.
Right. You're being humble, right? I'm joking. I'm sure it's true. All right, let's go to Isaiah 42.
Yeah.
And let's read it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that the Torah?
This is the Tanakh.
Before we get to Isaiah 42,
Yes.
I want to give you another verse
Okay.
to think about first, okay?
Yes.
I want you to go to Deuteronomy
Chapter 18.
18, but not verse 18.
Verse 15.
No, verse 21.
21.
Let's go to verse 21. I want you to go to Deuteronomy 18, 21, okay? And I want you to read it out for me because this one's an interesting one. I found this one quite interesting myself.
Sure.
Huh? What are you reading from? What is this translation?
This is the JPS translation.
So tell us what that is.
The JPS is the Jewish Publication Society. It's just a translation from the Hebrew.
How well accepted is this within your circles?
I mean, practically speaking, we don't have like a translation which we say this is a very good translation. We just have. We usually only read from the Hebrew and translate.
Yeah.
We'll use it for like a difficult word. We'll use the English. So like a less common word, we might go to the English to see. Oh, what exactly does that mean? Or maybe if the commentary is not so easy to understand.
Right. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18:21.
What's the debate about?
I'll speak to you later. I'm just going to
What's the debate? What are you
We're just talking about prophecies about the Prophet Muhammad in the Old Testament.
Muslim, right?
Huh?
You're Muslim?
I'm Muslim, yes.
Verse 21. It says, and should you ask yourselves, how can we know that the oracle was not spoken by the Lord?
Keep going.
Verse 22. Asher yidaber hanovi b'shem Adonai v'lo yichye hadovor v'lo yovo hu hadovor asher lo diberu Adonai v'zodon diberu hanovi lo sogur mimenu. If the prophet speaks in the name of the Lord and the oracle does not come true, that oracle was not spoken by the Lord. The prophet has uttered it presumptuously. Do not stand in dread of him.
This is something I think we need to focus on a little bit before we continue.
Yeah, sure.
Now, what I understand from these verses, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's giving us a criterion for how do we establish or how do we know whether there's a true prophet or a false prophet.
That is true.
And it's saying that if that prophet makes predictions, this is referred to as oracle here,
Yes.
makes predictions of the future,
Yeah.
and they come to be true, they materialize, then that is an indication that they are true prophets.
It does not actually say that. What it
Well,
does say,
I'm
however,
paraphrasing. Go ahead.
what it does say
Yeah.
is that if a prophet, if the oracle does not come true, then he is not a true prophet.
Yeah,
it does not say, however,
Right,
that
right.
if it does come true, that means that he is a true prophet.
No, but that is the inferred, because if you look,
Not necessarily.
no, it can be, because let me tell you why, right? If I say, in this case, if it's saying it does not come true, then this disqualifies them from prophethood, right? Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm just going to get tissue.
It disqualifies them from prophethood
Yeah.
if they say that something's going to happen and it doesn't come true. So they're not disqualified from prophethood if they say something's going to come true and it does come true, correct?
They're not yeah, right. That does not.
All right.
mean disqualify.
Yeah. Now we have to look at the figure of Muhammad,
Right.
because the first thing I want to present to you is the following, yeah? He made a series of prophecies,
Yes.
okay? I mean, the Quran makes a series of prophecies,
Yes.
okay? Are you aware of those prophecies?
No, I'm not.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you some of those prophecies in the Quran and in the Hadith, and I want you to react to those things, okay?
Sure.
All right, so
Before you do so,
Yeah.
I make an extra point that is important to the discussion,
yes,
which is that there are other conditions that have been laid down in Deuteronomy chapters 13 and 18.
let's read them. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
About the issue of what is a false prophet. So if you look to chapter 13,
Yes,
we start from verse 2.
yes.
It says as follows: If there appears, I'll read in Hebrew.
Now just read it in English for now.
Right. If there appears among you a prophet or a dream diviner, and he gives you a sign or a portent, saying, "Let us follow and worship another god, whom you have not experienced,"
Yes.
even if the sign or portent that he named so to you comes true, do not heed the words of that prophet or that dream diviner, for the Lord your God is testing you to see whether you really love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul.
Right. So we've got another condition,
Yes.
which is that it must be that prophet must call to the
God
worship of one God.
No, it doesn't say of one God. It says to
Okay,
the gods that you have experienced.
And are the gods that the Jewish people experience more than one?
No.
So it's one God, right?
Yes, it is one
Great,
God.
great. So
It is
that,
the God that we experienced at Sinai.
okay, fine. But that God we're talking about is the one God of Moses, right?
Yes, indeed.
Correct. So if that prophet comes and calls to a God other than the God of Moses, then he's disqualified.
Indeed.
So we have two aspects of disqualification. One is that if this prophet calls to a God other than the God of Moses, then he's disqualified. Two is if he makes prophecies which don't materialize, then he's disqualified,
Yes.
correct? All right, is there any other conditions that you know of?
Let's have a look. So there's also an inference here. If we continue in chapter 13,
Yeah.
go to verse 6. It
Yes,
says,
yes.
As for that prophet or dream diviner, he shall be put to death. Why? For he urged disloyalty to the Lord your God, who freed you from the land of Egypt, and who redeemed you from the house of bondage, to make you stray from the path that the Lord your God commanded you to follow. Thus he will sweep out evil from your midst. So we can imply from this that another thing that a false prophet does is he urges disloyalty to the Lord your God.
Excellent. So if the opposite, then if he urges loyalty to the God of Moses, then he is not disqualified, correct?
Right. Urging loyalty does not disqualify you.
Yes.
Rather, urging disloyalty
Disqualified.
does disqualify you.
Excellent. Now, with this, we can both agree there are many claimants to prophecy that have come in history after Moses that will be instantly disqualified, correct?
Yes.
Like, for example, Guru Nanak.
Yes.
Would you accept he's disqualified?
Indeed.
Let's say,
Siddhartha Gautama, disqualified.
sorry? Yes, okay. And so on.
Joseph Smith,
Disqualified. Are you with me?
Yeah,
Paul disqualified.
Exactly.
Me and you are on the same page right now,
Indeed.
aren't we? Now we have to go.
Disqualified.
No, we wouldn't say this because
I know.
Jesus, according to the Pauline understanding, is disqualified. But Jesus, according to the Islamic understanding, is not. And that's why we have to go back to this question. The question is, first of all, did the Prophet Muhammad call to the God of Moses, to worshipping the God of Moses? Yes or no?
Well, that's what we're going to have to see. Does he call to you?
Well, I mean, you tell me. You've read the Quran, right?
I read part of it, not so much.
All right. So this is extremely explicitly clear in the Quran that is the case. In fact, the whole story of Moses is narrated in many different parts of the Quran, 70 in fact. His name is mentioned 70 times, Moses, Musa.
Yes, I heard about that.
Right, so he's mentioned, and in fact, a very similar narrative, although the particulars are different,
Yes.
are mentioned, okay?
Like the number of daughters by the well in Midian.
These are details that don't relate to our criterion of disqualification.
Giving an example of a difference.
Yeah, of course. But what I'm saying, the things that relate to our criterion of disqualification are not met with the Prophet Muhammad, correct? And with the Quran.
That particular thing, no.
Right. So.
However, in terms of disloyalty, that could be something that could possibly be a matter of contention.
Tell me how.
For example,
yeah.
God commanded the Jewish people to observe the Shabbos, right, the Sabbath.
Yes.
Part of that observance is we're not allowed to fast on the Sabbath because, as it says in Isaiah, the Sabbath is to be an enjoyment, right? And the issue would be if a Jew were to accept the Quran, right, to accept Muhammad, if that is true, then according to that law, he will have to fast Ramadan. And if he has to fast Ramadan, that will not suddenly disappear for Shabbos. Shabbos will have to, have to fast on. That is
right now,
disloyal to God.
let me tell you something. What you're doing now is you're dictating to God what rules should apply when they should apply.
I'm not dictating.
No, because let me ask you a question. If in the second coming of the Messiah, or the coming of the Messiah, sorry, that you believe in, right? You believe the Messiah will come.
Yes, the Messiah will come.
You believe that?
Yes.
You believe it will be a second coming, you believe it will be the first coming.
Indeed.
But that's something else. But if the Messiah, if you're assured that Messiah is from God,
yes,
and he tells you of something which you might not have seen in the biblical texts, right? Would you reject him?
Well, if he was somebody who is telling us things that contradict that what came before him, then we would not accept him.
No, hold on.
If he's coming to us and telling us things we didn't know before,
where does it say in the Old Testament that every single law cannot be abrogated?
I'll get this.
Because let me ask you a question. Before you get there, let me ask you a question. Look at me. Abraham, you have a story, we have a story, it's the same story. In the Quran, it's narrated, that Abraham said to his son, "Inni ra'aytu fil manam, inni adhbahuka, fandur madha tara." He said to his son, "I saw in my dream that I was meant to slaughter you, so tell me what to do." He said, "Oh my father, if'al ma tu'mar, do whatever you have been commanded to do." Okay? Now you believe in the story, I believe in the story, correct?
Yes.
What did God tell Abraham to do?
To offer him up as an elevation offering.
Okay, and did he do that?
He offered him, he was not accepted.
No, did he end up slaughtering his son?
He wasn't commanded to slaughter his son.
What was he commanded to do?
Offer him up as an elevation offering.
Did he do it?
Yes, he did.
And he offered him, he slaughtered him?
No, he did not slaughter him, he offered him.
Okay, but then what happened?
Then the angel came and told him, don't slaughter him.
Oh great, don't slaughter him, you just said it. Excellent, hold on.
Slaughter him.
Listen.
He was never told to slaughter.
What's your name?
Josh.
Abraham, what was in his mind that he was meant to, what do you think?
Abraham thought that he was supposed to slaughter the son.
Right, excellent.
He misunderstood.
No. Abraham thought that he was meant to slaughter the son.
Yes.
Then he was told that don't slaughter the son.
Yes.
In fact, take the sacrificial animal instead, or whatever it is, yeah?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
We believe in this, you believe in this.
Yes.
All right. So the point is that you have two commands that the prophet Abraham, or we don't believe the Old Testament doesn't say he's a prophet from what I remember.
It doesn't say call him a prophet, however the fact that God speaks to him, gives him prophecies,
no problem.
Makes him a prophet.
No, I'm not saying he isn't. We believe he is. We believe he is. But I'm just trying to be specific here.
Jolly good.
Now when he offered the ram, if he were to have an attitude similar to that you have, he would say, no, I will not do what the angel said, because I have already been commanded what? I have already been commanded to do X, and I'm going to slaughter the son.
Right.
But so what I'm saying is, I asked you a question. When the Messiah comes back, and if he tells you something which is, in your understanding, extra Talmudic or extra biblical, something which you haven't seen before, or you may not understand, you said you won't follow him. What I'm saying is this is the problem exactly. Because if Abraham had the same attitude as you, he would be among those who reject God. But he didn't. He followed the angel. So the idea that you're hung up on the Sabbath, but what I'm saying is God is within his right to give commandments and injunctions. It doesn't contradict the majesty of God to give commands and injunctions in one place and time which differ from commands and injunctions from another place and time. So what you're describing as disloyalty is in fact ironically itself disloyalty. Because if this was disloyalty, then the angel would have been disloyal and Abraham would have been disloyal.
It's not though. The reason is twofold, because there's two things to unpack here. First of all, with regards to Abraham was told, offer him up, right? The word Hebrew is ha'alehu la'olam, right? Offer him up as an elevation offering. And the angel does not then tell him, don't offer him up as an elevation offering. He tells him, don't slaughter. At this point, Abraham will now understand correctly that when he was told, offer him up, that does not mean to slaughter. Now he is being clarified by the angel to not slaughter. He originally thought he was supposed to slaughter. The angel has now clarified to him, no, don't slaughter. Don't slaughter.
Abraham received the commandment from God.
Yes.
He understood it in a certain way.
And then he was
and then he was given clarification according to what you've said from the angel.
Yes.
But what makes him, he's a prophet, what makes him take the angel as an authority that gives him information about revelation?
Because as a prophet, having a revelation with an angel of God, he's going to know what the angel of God is telling him is the original intention of God.
Now this is exactly the point we are making.
To be the actual
we are saying the angel
I'm not a prophet.
I know you're not.
If the Messiah comes, like if a man comes, because we believe the Messiah is just going to be a man. If a man comes and says, let's say, now you're allowed to eat camels, right? Right? Then I'll say, no, we're not. God said we're not allowed to eat camels. He specifically said to not eat camels.
Yeah. What if he says, well, you've understood it. You've understood it incorrectly, because what God really meant is that you're not allowed to eat camels for this time period at this time, and that I've been given the authority from the angel, or I've been given authority from God, and you haven't. So if you look, I want you to understand something. If Abraham had your attitude, he would not have followed the commandment not to slaughter his son.
That's the difference. He's a prophet, and he knows an angel is talking to him.
Beautiful.
I'm not a prophet.
Excellent. So a prophet can make those concessions.
A prophet can make that concession.
Excellent.
Because he's had a revelation from an angel.
Excellent. Perfect. You see what you just said there?
I, as another person.
Great.
Like if Abraham had told that to somebody else.
Look. What you just said there is all I need to hear. You said
of course it is.
Oh wait, yes it is. You said a prophet can make that concession because he's been given revelation from the angel.
But if he tells that to somebody else.
And it would not be disloyalty if that is the case, right?
That wouldn't be disloyalty.
It wouldn't be, no. Excellent. So this is what we're saying. Remember, the Islamic narrative. Listen, what's your name again, bro?
Josh.
Josh, sorry, I'm sorry. Josh, what you've just said there is the end of this particular segment, because that's all I needed to hear.
Of course.
I think we have solved and ironed out this point now, because the Islamic claim is this: the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we believe that he came, after Moses, after Jesus, and he was given revelation from the angel.
Right.
And we believe that this revelation provided clarification, and it also provided filtration. Listen, for what was in the previous dispensations, because the idea is that not everything in this book was preserved. And look, we don't need to go into this discussion. But the idea is not everything in this book was preserved.
37 Qurans have not been preserved.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Not everything is.
37 Qurans.
Yeah, I thought it was 51. Anyway.
There are holes in the narrative.
Yo, we're having a good conversation here. Can you take your shit and go somewhere else?
Yeah, okay. So, do you see the point?
I watched your thing, by the way. I watched your thing with Yasser. That was very silly of you. Asking that question.
Maybe you're right about that.
I watched it. I thought, what are you doing? You're giving a lot of fire to the guys. If he doesn't give you an answer, there's going to be a lot of problems.
Listen, this is aside the point. Let's stick with the subject matter, all right? Now, we've said the 2 points. We'll go back to it. You mentioned 3. You mentioned that he has to call to the God of Moses, then you mention that it can't be disloyal to God.
Yes.
And that if he is getting revelation from an angel, this is not seen as disloyalty. We talked about that.
That's not what I... Okay, let me clarify. When I say talking to an angel is not disloyalty, what I'm talking about is, why should I believe, right, that you are a true prophet or a false prophet? If you say, an angel told me that the way you've always understood something is wrong, right, I don't have necessarily a reason to believe that you're a true prophet. But if you're told from an angel that something you've understood something wrong, right, then you absolutely should be listening to what the angel tells you.
All right,
because
excellent.
You know the angel of God.
Right.
But I don't know that you've spoken to an angel of God.
No. That's why we're looking at the other criterion. So the other criteria says that if he speaks of an oracle prediction of the future.
But before we get to that,
yes,
because I did say it was twofold.
Right.
I gave one.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
The other one about
the second thing about
about the God of Moses.
The Sabbath.
The Sabbath we've already spoken about.
Because I was about to bring you a verse that I'd end up bringing.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, right. Go ahead.
So in Exodus chapter 34, I think. Let's get it up. Hold on.
By the way, can I just say something, Josh, before you get the verse?
Yes.
That everything in the Bible, for us, is not evidentiary. Okay.
That's true.
I want you to know that, because what it is that it's been established. No, I believe. Sorry,
Muslims.
It has been no. It has been established.
By Muslims.
No, actually, no. It has been established beyond reasonable doubt that the book that you're holding in your hand, okay, has been omitted. Things have been omitted from it.
Established by who?
By who?
By whom? By a consensus of text critics.
By who?
Really?
Who?
Welthausen.
Listen.
Just a question.
Let me.
Just one question.
Yeah. Fine.
If I take this book from here and I go and get the same book, your Torah, in South Africa or in America, they'll be different.
No, they won't.
They will.
No, they won't. Go and
Josh,
find out.
let me ask you a question. Look at me, Josh. Look at me. Look at me, Josh. How do they?
It hasn't been changed.
You're a clever man, yeah?
Yes.
You're a clever man as well. Come here. Instead of heckling, come here.
I'm not heckling. I'm asking you a question. You don't believe in
come.
You don't believe
If you need his help,
What do you believe in Moses?
You don't believe in Moses.
We do believe in Moses.
You
yes.
don't believe in the Moses of the
Okay.
Bible.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Telling me for what I believe. You're very intelligent. You're very. You're not straw manning me at all. Okay.
Before we get sidetracked, before we go on to the sidetrack,
No,
just
Josh.
read the verse.
No. Before you do so, let me just. I was just in the middle of saying something. Of course, you can read the verse. Let me just say one point, and then you can say your point. Because remember, issue is this. Now, you know and I know that the Old Testament. I'm not going to look at the New Testament for a second, because that's another kettle of fish altogether. Yeah. The Old Testament, when they decide what to put in and what to take out, how do they decide? They look at the Septuagint. They look at the Masoretic text. They look at the Dead Sea Scrolls. Correct?
Wait, who?
Who? Text critics.
Oh, the text critics.
Yeah,
Right.
the people who
secularists, the text critics.
No, not just.
Welthausen.
Wait, hold on.
In 1940. So how the Old Testament?
Hold on.
Tanakh has
Calm
been
down, please.
established
Calm
for
down,
hundreds of
please.
years.
Calm down.
Are you Jew?
When in this particular version of the JPS that you've mentioned,
Yes.
have you looked at how they've decided to put in and take out verses?
They haven't decided to put in or take out
No.
verses.
Have you looked at what manuscripts, Josh?
Yes.
Have you looked at what manuscripts they have decided to use when they are deciding this is what the Bible says, in which they have decided to leave out? Have you looked at that?
The JPS is using the scrolls that we have always used.
Which ones?
Our Torah scrolls.
Which ones?
They don't have names.
Yes, they do have.
Scrolls. We have a
Listen.
scroll in every synagogue.
Listen, you're not.
Scrolls.
No, listen. Now that shows your ignorance on the topic. With all due respect, it's not just scrolls. They have names, and when they're deciding what to put in and take out of these Bible that you're holding in your hand, they choose manuscripts. So, for example, the Septuagint is a Greek document.
Yes, I know.
Okay,
The LXX.
and that's actually one of the most high-level documents.
Not amongst us.
Pardon?
Not amongst us.
No, for the Old Testament. Yeah, for the Greek translation of the Old Testament. Yeah, but so what that must, it's Christian. It's true.
We don't believe that as
No problem, but that is another layer of problem, because why would you use a Greek? It's a Greek manuscript that they then have to
use it.
listen. They then have to translate it. Okay.
We don't use it.
Okay. no problem. It's not you don't use it. It's not the case with all the Old Testament scholars in the world, yeah? The Hebrews, even Jewish ones. You can't say that all Jewish...
All Orthodox Jews...
Are you sure you want to say all?
Absolutely.
Okay, fine.
Without a doubt.
Okay, no problem. So what do they use? Do they use the Masoretic text? Give me the names of the text.
The Masoretic text is just the name of what we call the Hebrew with the vowels and the punctuation. That's all it means.
No.
The difference between a Masoretic text and a regular Hebrew text is that one has vowels and the Tamei HaMikra and the other doesn't. That's the only difference.
Let me ask you a question. The Dead Sea Scrolls that were discovered in
Qumran.
in Nag Hammadi, Now, can you establish to me that in all cases that the Masoretic text is superior to the Dead Sea Scrolls in every single instantiation or every single thing that it says?
That's not what I need to prove. Instead, what I need to prove is that we have a textus receptus, and if we want to say that it has not been preserved very well, or then we would see what we would be looking for in a text like the Dead Sea Scrolls, is a text that generally accords to the theological implications of our text, but has little differences here and there that would.
What text are you talking about?
Any theoretical text, be it
give me a name.
Be it the Dead Sea Scrolls, be it the
what's the position?
Be it the Samaritan Pentateuch,
Yeah.
be it any of these types of things.
No, but what I'm saying is, do you reject the Dead Sea Scrolls?
Yes.
Wholeheartedly, fully?
Yes. And I'm
So
explaining why.
what do you accept?
I'm explaining why.
Yeah.
I'm explaining why.
Yeah.
If we are looking for an idea that our Textus Receptus has not been preserved very well, forgetting about the claim of corruption, because that's a different claim. If we talk about the claim of it just wasn't preserved very well and mistakes have happened, right, and small changes have been made over time because of lack of care, right, then what we would be looking for in scrolls like the Dead Sea Scrolls or the Samaritan Pentateuch is not differences theologically or differences in terms of the orthopraxy or the orthodoxy, right, either way, right. We'd be looking for the types of things that come from poor preservation. Not totally different ideas, but little mistakes here and there, or not even mistakes, little differences, right? Little differences in the narrative, little differences in that kind of thing.
Here's the deal.
We don't actually find that. Instead, we find that the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Samaritan Pentateuch are differences in theology and differences in orthopraxy. We don't find differences in the details of stories.
So you're saying there are differences, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying is the differences are theological ones that we would expect from those particular
No, but
scrolls.
this is probably
We would not.
Pardon?
No, the Masoretic text.
Yeah.
If you go to any synagogue in the world, right? If you go to any synagogue in the world, yes,
even in the Reform ones.
Even the Reform ones have this.
Okay, all right.
Any synagogue in the world,
Yeah.
and you see that they all have Torah scrolls, right? Now, a Torah scroll has the 5 books of Moses, the Pentateuch, and you'll see that it's just consonants, right? Like in the Arabic Quran, right? There's right. At least before they put in the diacritics and stuff, there were no dots and dashes, right?